The Galactic Council chamber fell silent as Ambassador Zexthari of the Dominion stepped forward, his crystalline exoskeleton gleaming under the artificial lights. His four eyes swept across the assembled representatives with barely concealed disdain. Honored delegates, his voice resonated through the translation matrix. We gather today to discuss the peculiar case of Kepler 442b, designated by the humans as New Eden. A ripple of nervous energy passed through the chamber. Kepler 442b was notorious throughout the galaxy, a class-attuned death world where even the flowers could dissolve titanium and the rain fell as liquid methane. It had been the graveyard of 3 different colonization attempts by various species. The Vorthan Empire had lost an entire battalion to the planet's crystalline predators. The ethereal collective's psychic warriors had fled after encountering something that made their minds recoil in terror. As you all know, Zexthari continued, his mandibles clicking with satisfaction, my people, the Dominion, sent our finest warrior caste to claim this world. Our apex hunters, beings bred for 1,000 generations to be the perfect predators, established dominance over every creature on that accursed rock. The holographic display activated, showing towering insectoid creatures with blade-like appendages and chitinous armor that could deflect plasma fire. The apex hunters stood 12 feet tall, their movements fluid and lethal, their compound eyes missing nothing. Until Zexthari's voice took on a tone of confusion that bordered on distress. The humans arrived. Captain Sarah Chen watched the display from her position in the human delegation section. Her weathered face remained impassive, but those who knew her could see the slight upturn at the corner of her mouth. The human colony ship landed in Sector 7, Zexthari continued, directly in the territory of Hunter Prime Kethmore, our most decorated warrior. We expected to add human trophies to his collection within the hour. The display shifted to show a small human settlement, prefabricated structures hastily erected in a clearing, surrounded by towering, razor-edged crystalline trees that sang with lethal harmonics. Kethmore approached the settlement as he had approached countless others. 23 different species had knelt before him, the Vorthans with their plasma cannons, the Ethereals with their mind tricks, the Cathari with their energy shields. All knelt. All submitted. Ambassador Zexthari paused, his exoskeleton clicking nervously. But not the humans. When Kethmore emerged from the crystal forest, standing in all his terrible glory, the human adults barely glanced up from their work. They continued constructing their settlement, tending to their equipment, going about their daily tasks as if a 12-foot apex predator wasn't standing mere meters away. A murmur ran through the chamber. The Vorthan delegate leaned forward, his scarred carapace reflecting his species' warrior culture. Surely they were paralyzed with fear. That's what we thought, Zexthari replied. Kethmore waited. He displayed his blade arms, his combat scars, the trophies of conquered prey. Nothing. The humans acted as if he was invisible. The display showed security footage from the Dominion forces. The massive Hunter Prime stood motionless, his threatening posture gradually becoming uncertain, then almost forlorn. For 3 days, Kethmore tried every intimidation technique in our arsenal. He roared challenges that should have shattered their primitive eardrums. He carved warnings into the crystal trees. He left the remains of local predators at their settlement's edge. The human adults remained indifferent. Captain Chen couldn't suppress her smile now. She remembered receiving the reports from New Eden. The bewildered messages from the colonists about the big bug that seemed to want attention. Then, Zexthari's voice dropped to barely above a whisper. The human child appeared. The holographic display changed, showing a small human female, perhaps 8 years old by Terran standards, with braided hair and clothes stained with the mud of an alien world. She carried what appeared to be a primitive collection device, a net used for gathering specimens. Kethmore had never encountered a juvenile of any species that didn't immediately flee or cower. But this small human walked directly up to him. The security footage showed the incredible moment. The child approached the towering predator without fear, looked up at him with obvious curiosity, and then... She pet him, Zexthari said, his voice hollow with disbelief. She reached up and touched his blade arm as if it were a domestic companion. The chamber erupted in shocked whispers. The concept was incomprehensible to most species present. A prey animal approaching an apex predator? Impossible. A juvenile doing so? Beyond impossible. But that wasn't the extraordinary part, Zexathari continued. The extraordinary part was Kethmore's response. Our greatest hunter, our apex predator who had never shown submission to any living being. The display showed Kethmore lowering himself to the ground, his massive form settling into what could only be described as a submissive posture. He bowed to a human child, and when she climbed onto his back and began examining the trophy scars along his carapace, when she started asking questions in her strange human language about where he got each mark, when she began showing him the local insects she had collected, Zexathari paused, struggling with words. He began to purr. The silence in the chamber was deafening. Our apex predator, bred for warfare, designed for domination, began producing the submissive harmonics typically reserved for nursery attendants caring for our young. Captain Chen stood slowly. Ambassador Zexathari, with your permission. The Dominion delegate gestured weakly with one blade arm. What your people discovered, Chen said, her voice carrying clearly through the chamber, is something we've known about ourselves for millennia. Human children possess something that even we don't fully understand. They approach the world without the fear that experience teaches. They see potential companions where adults see threats. They offer trust where logic suggests caution. She activated her own holographic display, showing images from New Eden. Human children playing with creatures that had terrorized 3 previous colonization attempts, laughing as they rode on the backs of crystal wolves, teaching alien predators to play simple games. Your Kethmore didn't submit to humanity's strength or technology, Chen continued. He submitted to something far more powerful, pure, innocent trust offered freely by a being who saw him not as a monster, but as a friend waiting to be made. The display showed Kethmore now, weeks later, carefully carrying human children on his back as they explored the crystal forests, his blade arms modified with safety guards, his fearsome roar replaced with gentle clicks of contentment. The apex predator of your death world didn't bow to human weapons or human cunning, Captain Chen concluded. He bowed to human hope. And in doing so, he discovered something your species bred out of him long ago, the capacity for gentleness. Ambassador Zexathari stood in silence for a long moment, his compound eyes reflecting the images of his greatest warrior, playing gentle games with tiny humans. The Dominion, he said finally, withdraws our territorial claim to Kepler 442b. It appears the humans have already conquered it in ways we never could. As the session adjourned, delegates filed out in contemplative silence, each wondering what other impossible things these strange, soft creatures called humans might accomplish through nothing more than the fearless trust of their young. In the security footage still playing on the displays, a 8-year-old human girl laughed as she taught a 12-foot alien predator how to play tag among the singing crystal trees of a world that had been deemed too dangerous for any species to inhabit. Until now,